So we're starting something new today, guys. It's called Stewardship. Here's the manual. This is the key, the magic key. No, it's not magic. All right? It is spiritual, though. It's supernatural. How many of you guys, honestly, how many don't have their own vehicle yet? A few of you? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's start there. How many of you want to have your own vehicle in the next 6 months or a year? It'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Got one, dude. How many don't own a home yet? How many want to own a home in the next year or two? Right? All right, that's what this is about. It's about that for you. You know, I mean, one of the things that I feel like I'm gifted to do is help you financially. I want to be able to help you financially. But at the same time, guys, I don't want you to get the wrong impression, you know, that like, of course, it's all about money, it's all about finances. You know, don't think like that. I mean, this is just is part of a phase of your development, you know, where the Lord does want you to have, you know, wealth for the kingdom. And even wealth for yourself, if we know how to steward it right. We know how to manage it, right? So what this course is about is called Stewardship. This is a booklet that I came up with. It's about, I don't know, 25, 30 pages long. If you want the book, it's only $5. I get you one, all right? If you want one, see me after class. It's actually got some workbook in, you know, things in here where you could write things down and set some goals for yourself and help get aligned to where, you know, you can meet them goals and, you know, in a year or 2 years, 5 years, however, you know, it's a short-term, long-term financial plan for you. I think I'm going to have, in the next couple weeks here, we'll probably be on this for maybe 6, 8 weeks, something like that. But in the next couple weeks, I'm going to have somebody come in, so a couple people maybe that I know that will help us with some investments, you know, and maybe help us, you know, to get into purchasing some homes, things like that. All right? So it's going to be an interesting course if you'll pay attention. Please pay attention. Put your heart into this, guys, because if I see that you're putting your heart into it, I will help you. I'll help you get that car. I'll help you get that house. I'll help you get what you need. I'll help you get a nice savings account where you can start investing money and you know, do something. Make your money work for you. If we can learn how to make our money work for us, we won't have to work for our money. All right? For real. Make your money work for you, and then you don't have to work so hard grinding every day, you know, and trying to make ends meet. I know how that is. I mean, we've done that for years, man, but we're to a place now where our money can work for us if we do this wisely. All right? So we are going to get into talking about some investments, but I think for the most part, right now, we need to talk a little bit about just getting you guys to a point where, you know, everybody's got their own vehicle. I don't mind you driving a ministry vehicle if you take care of it. I really don't. But the ultimate goal is to get you your own vehicle, okay? To get you, I don't mind you living in ministry housing, but I'd rather you see you own your own home. Amen? Amen. All right. So let's talk about some of this stuff. Like I said, if you want one of these manuals, it's a good manual. I took a lot of time writing this. See me after class, okay? So, stewardship this probably would be about a 12-week course, but I'm probably just going to touch on some of it. Here's some of the goals. Become personally aware of the need for stewardship in all areas of your life. We're going to define stewardship in just a minute. Create self-awareness of frivolous spending, greed, or poverty mentality. You don't want to be greedy. At the same time, you don't want to have a poverty mindset. That's not of God. Neither one is of the kingdom, okay? Learning how to be more productive and dependable as a person, as an employee. Learning how to create an inheritance, not just for you, but for your children, your children's children, and so on. That's what wealth is. Wealth can start with you. Some of us have come out of a spirit of poverty. How many of us, honestly, we grew up and it was a poverty mentality? All right, probably 80 to 90%. So one of the goals here, guys, when we get into, you've been around here a couple of years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't want you to have a poverty mentality. I mean, I want you to have a wealth mentality and leave a legacy for your children. We can build wealth for our children to where they never have to go through that crap. Yeah. All right? But we can't think selfishly. What Abraham had great wealth that got passed down for many, many generations. All right? But I don't think he had it always. He had to leave his, his homeland and venture off into the wilderness there, or into the desert, wherever he was, to acquire things and attain things. I mean, I know that he did have some wealth when he left his homeland, but not like he had at the end of his life, all right? Learning from biblical models of what successful stewardship looks like, learning how to create a personal budget, understanding the principles and commandments of tithing and giving. This is crucial. I'm telling you, if you can't get this one down, you'll never go anywhere with this with God. You got to understand tithing, which is 10%, and then giving, and that's on top of it, all right? A lot of this, guys, to be honest with you, is discipline. It's self-discipline on how you spend. There's things that I would want to buy right now, that I can buy right now, but I won't buy right now. Simply because, number one, I don't make major purchases unless I hear from God. I'm not going to move out of my house. I'm not going to move my family into a bigger, nicer house because I got the money or I just want something new. I'm not going to do that. God gave us that home. I won't move from there until I know I hear clearly from Him. I don't want to make a major purchase on a vehicle or something like that. However, I see Brother Mark's got his dirt bike there. That might be a purchase that we can talk about. I think God might permit me to have that. Amen. Understanding why work ethic and time management are important. Work ethic and time management. This is part of stewarding, managing your time, managing your workload. Some of us, guys, you're doing things and you're busy, and I see it. But some of you aren't doing the things that I would have you to do or the things that I've asked you to do. There's people in the room right now. There's people on live stream right now. I've asked you to get stuff done, and it's not being done. I could take you around the building and point stuff out. All right? You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to point fingers today, but there's one thing to stay busy around here, and that's cool. I mean, I want you to stay busy, but at the same time, I have a vision that God's given me that we're trying to fulfill here as a team. So if I assign you to do something and it slips through the cracks because you got busy doing something else, you're in error. Yeah. You got to go back and get that done for me. Otherwise, I'm looking at you like, well, I mean, I don't want to give this dude a raise. I mean, I asked him to do this 6 months ago. He never got it done. See what I mean? All right. Learning how to manage people. Learning how to manage people. This is probably the biggest one. If you really want to be successful, and if you really want to be financially successful, you're going to have some people skills. Learn how to manage people. Like, when we first started the ministry, okay, we were managing 8 or 10 people, 4 staff and, 8 students, whatever it was, I can't remember. Then it grew, and we had to learn how to manage more people, more staff. I don't manage all the staff here. There's other leaders that do that, especially in the other centers. I mean, I don't even know most of the staff in the other centers. But I trust the leaders that I have in place there. And if there's any mistrust that I have in my heart, I need to communicate with them and go to them and say, hey, let's get this, and this lined out before we can move forward, before your center could advance. before your department can advance. So some of you guys are over departments, and I'd like to see your departments increase. If your departments can increase and grow, and you can manage people and manage what we're doing, manage the task of that department, then I can promote you, I can move you up, you know. If you can't, however, then one of two things has to happen. You got to make some changes, or you got to be removed. And I hate that. You know, I don't want to remove anybody. I don't want to demote anybody. I don't want to see anybody fall off. But when we're talking about being productive, guys, and talking about making an operation work for the kingdom of heaven, we got to do what we got to do. And the parables that Jesus tells, although they seem kind of unfair in some ways even, we're going to look at the parables. Sometimes it seems a little unfair. Why does the guy that got, 10 talents receive everything, and the guy that only had 1, he didn't do anything wrong, he just held on to it. It looks like he didn't do anything wrong, but we'll look deeper into it and see where he maybe operated out of fear or laziness, okay? All right. So, be ready to cover at least one lesson each class. We will take a final on this, all right? I'm going to test you guys because I want to see what you're learning, and I want to see where your heart is. I want to see how bad do you really want what we're talking about here. Now remember something. This is practical stuff. Of course, there are spiritual principles behind this, but it's more practical stuff. I'm not teaching you about salvation or deliverance here. This is something different. This is for you guys, man. I'm not going to teach this to them. They don't need that right now. But I want to see you guys financially prosperous, all right? All right, so let's look at what the definition of stewardship is. And this is, after just kind of studying it out, this is what I came up with. Being responsible and accountable to manage the people, places, and things that God has entrusted to our care. Being responsible to God, to His resources, and to the people He has placed over us and under us. We have a responsibility, not just people that are over us, but to those that are under us. I have a responsibility to make sure that you get your driver's license and you own a vehicle. That you get to a point where you've been around here for a few years. I feel like I have a responsibility to push you into how to own your own home, then how to get it paid for to where you're not in debt for the rest of your life. And I've been failing at it. I haven't been pushing you guys. I haven't been like on top of you the way that I need to be. I don't want to be a jerk about it, but at the same time too, man, I feel like it's part of what God has called me to do. So if you feel me putting a little pressure on you in this area, listen, guys, I'm not doing it for any other reason but that I care about you and I want to see you blessed. Because if I just wanted to have a not care attitude, I'd be like, man, I'll just work him to death and, the heck with him. If he wants to spend all his money, I don't care. I don't want to be like that. All right. I want to see everybody prosperous in here, man. So ask yourself some questions here. Have you ever wondered why others are progressing in certain areas and you're not? Have you ever wondered that? Like, why does so-and-so get blessed? And why is so-and-so moving up? Or why does so-and-so get promoted? We're going to answer some of these questions for you if you'll be subjective with yourself and follow the conviction of the Holy Spirit. Don't get in your head. All right? Don't get jealous. Just be honest with yourself. Do you ever wonder why others are getting blessed and you're not? We have to ask ourselves, are we being responsible in managing the tasks, the talents, the time, the resources God has entrusted to us? And now we're going to look at Matthew 25. Matthew 25, verse 14. We'll read the parable. There's 2 parables on stewardship that I'll draw from out of this. And this is the first one, Matthew 25 and 14. This is Jesus speaking. The kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. So, think about this for a minute. Let's just say that I'm about to go on a journey here, guys. Let's say that God has told me and my wife and our family that we are going down into the jungle. And we're going to be down there for 3 years. Okay? So, I'm not going to see y'all for 3 years. Gosh, I hope I'm not prophesying here. Woo, boy. So here, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put Brandon over this building. I'm going to put Pastor Andrew over that Dandridge property. I'm going to put Josh over the property out there where he lives at, you know. I'm going to put whoever over the Kodak house, you know. And then I'm going to leave. I'm going to be gone for 3 years. If I come back and these properties ain't well maintained and taken care of, and maybe even increased, then you guys have failed. Now, did I properly train you on how to take care of things? Did I properly show you? If I were to come back, guys, and find and go out to Josh's house out there, and that thing be run down and, you know, trashed and garbage all over the house, all over the yard, you know, hasn't been upkept, hasn't been painted, this don't work, that don't work, the door handle's broken off. A lot of simple little things, man, you know, that we can do ourselves even. Yeah. If I come back and find that, how can I entrust him with more, right? Or how could God ever trust him with what God wants to give him if he can't be trusted with another man's stuff? Okay? So this is what Jesus gets at here. And if you really, you know, if you really want to be financially successful, you got to take this stuff to heart. All right, so he called his servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his own ability, and he immediately went on the journey. So you're going to be given according to your own ability. If you can't manage 5 people, then, you know, we can't put 15 people under your care. You know, if you can't manage your bedroom over at the Kodak house, guys, if I walk into your bedroom and your bedroom is trashed, what makes you think that God's going to give you your own place? Right. That's right. And I'll be honest with you, I was over there the other day, and some of your rooms, man, they could be better. I didn't see anything way off, but it could have been better, I would say. All right? A little bit neater, a little bit cleaner. Take care of it. Make your bed, yeah. He went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. Likewise, he who had received the 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received the 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. Now, when he says settled accounts with them, he's looking for a return on his investment. Guys, if I leave here for 3 years and I appoint you, if I appoint you over certain aspects of this ministry and I'm gone for 3 years, right? When I come back, I don't really just want to see that you maintained it. I want to see that you increased it, that you expanded it. What did you do? You know, what did you do with that Dandridge property? What did you do with this building, Pastor Brandon? I want to know, I want to see that when I come back here, you're like, okay, listen, we fixed this up. We got a whole upper floor there on that level to where, you know, well, we don't have to have these modulars anymore, right? Come on. I want to go out to Dandridge, and Pastor Andrew's got that thing laid out, man, landscaped. Huh? We got a boat dock up there, you know, where we can get our boat and drive our boat in and out of there. That's what we're looking for. That's what he's talking about here. He don't want to come back and just see like, well, here it is, you know. It's a little bit, it's almost how you left it. Not quite, sir, but you know. That's not what you're looking for. That's not what God's looking for. God is trying to give something to you. God's trying to place something in your hands and into your care to where he can say, what are you going to do with it? This is how the kingdom of heaven works. This is why he starts off the parable saying, the kingdom of heaven is like this. When Jesus says that, that's exactly what he means. This is what it's like. When we get into eternity, this is how it will function. This is how it will work. The Lord will say, here you go, Kurt. I'm giving you this. What are you going to do with it? I'm giving you that kitchen in there. What are you going to do with it? I'm giving you that marketing team. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to increase it? How are you going to expand it? So in the forefront of my heart and mind, I got to be thinking, Lord, what can I do to make this better? I need to be seeking him every day, Lord. How can I increase it? How can I expand it, Lord? How can I just make it blow up for the kingdom? Yeah. So we'll look at some of the ways in which we can do that. I could tell you right offhand, and here's where it gets difficult. Making sacrifices like, let's say we get a call from the Missouri Center today, and they're like, man, our marketing person just fell out. I really hope I'm not prophesying now by any means. But we need somebody. We need somebody sent out here to do marketing. So you guys got to look at who you're going to send. And you always have a tendency, right, from the flesh to send the lowest person. The least Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you can have him. He don't really do nothing anyhow. As a matter of fact, I was looking for a way to get him out of here, so there you go. Sending your best is how you're going to get your best return in the kingdom. Because what you're doing, you're making a faith move. You're making a faith move. You're saying, I'm going to give my best, right, to someone else, and I'm going to believe that God is going to honor what I've just done. This is hard, man. You know, but if we really want to see increase and we really want to move in faith with the Lord and trust him like that, that's how this will work. All right, let me read on the parable. Where was we at? After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts. So he had received the 5 talents, came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. So the Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents beside them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. One of the things I want you to keep in mind here, guys, is that this isn't just for here and now. Really, he's talking about eternity. Everything that you're doing in the earth today is a test. It's a test to see how mature you are as a son or a daughter, so that when we step into eternity, God can place you over kingdoms. God can place you over, you know, cities, and God can place you over whatever it is that he has. And I don't even know, because it's so broad and vast. But he's looking at your heart right now. He's examining you. This is why, and I never knew this when we first started the ministry, that God was testing us when we come in as a student, and you know, we're like, we get a few dollars, you know, from the fundraiser, right? Are you going to put it in your pocket? Or now you're a dorm leader, an intern, right? And you could pocket that $100 bill. Ain't nobody going to know. Somebody just come by and flip the 100 on you. Yeah, you can stick it in your pocket. Probably get away with it a time or two. After a while, God will reveal it. Yeah. He always does. You know, sometimes it's the first time. Other times you get away with it 5, 6, I don't know, 10 times maybe before he reveals it. But he'll reveal it if you keep doing it. And the thing is, you just sold out your inheritance for a couple $100. Because what he was really trying to do is the same thing that he did with me. Send me out there, see how well I can manage a couple $100, a couple $1,000, so that he can have me to manage millions or even billions. Huh? Come on, Pastor Andrew.
Something I felt like the Lord showed me, and maybe if you would like to elaborate on it, but like, you know, in this parable, you know, this is like the guy that had the 2 talents. Like, we don't know why he didn't get 5, start off with 5, but something that I learned is, like, just because that somebody might start off with more than you, if you can manage it well and it turn into 4, who's to say that you don't keep managing it and it turned to 8?
Right.
And then 16.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't necessarily just stop with with it multiplying once. The kingdom is a multiple multiplier.
Yeah.
And
so the guy that actually got the 5, he could have got passed by the guy that got the 2. Because the guy that got the 5, he might have gained 5 more, but then had a mentality of, well, this is good, I don't want to go any further. Right. But the guy that had the 2 and gained 2 more, maybe he said, man, I'm going all the way with this. Yeah. 4 more, 8 more, 12 more, you know. Yeah. We don't know. You know, you let your imagination take you where it will. but here, let's read about the guy that had the 1. He also, where are we at here? Verse 24. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. I was afraid. This is key. This is key. Listen, he says, I was afraid. He was afraid to use what God gave him. What are talents? What are talents, guys? Listen. In the beginning, he tells a parable. It's a parable of the talents, is what it's called. And it says he gave 5 talents here, 2 talents here, 1 talent here. The person with 1 talent was afraid. What is a talent? A talent could be an ability. It could be money. It could be resources. It could be property. It could be a vehicle. But I want to zero in on a second on abilities, because I feel like the Holy Spirit stopped me. Some people have abilities that you're not utilizing for the kingdom. Abilities that God has given you to where you're afraid to use them. Why? You're afraid of what people are going to think. What if I fail? What if I don't look right? There's some of you in here that are gifted speakers, but you're afraid to speak because you're scared of what people are going to say or how people are going to view you. Some of us need to come out of that. You know, when I first married my wife, she's a great teacher, ain't she? Yeah. When I first married her, she was scared to death standing in front of y'all. Some of you remember. I had to push her a little bit. A lot. There's talents and abilities that some of you guys got. There's singing abilities. I know there is. There's some of y'all that can sing. You're not singing. You know. You can't sit here and worry about what people are going to think about you, and you can't be afraid, you know, to use, at least try to step out and use some of the talents that you know that you have. I know that some of us have, I know some of us have some construction abilities in here. But you don't want to tell me about them. That's hard work. All right. I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Don't hide your talent in the ground, whatever it is. Whether it's a gifting, whether it's money, whether it's a vehicle, a property, whatever it is. Don't hide it. Don't sit on it and let it not produce for the kingdom of heaven or for your own life individually. All right? As long as what you have is producing for the kingdom, I believe with all of my heart, God does not have a problem with you having a little piece of it. That doesn't mean that we get selfish with it. It means that there's so much that God has. It's so vast. That we would be foolish to think that if we're His sons and daughters, that He wouldn't want us to have a little piece of it. Why would He not? What He's concerned about is your heart. Is will your heart steward it, or are you going to get selfish and say it's all mine, all mine, all mine, and forget about the rest of the world? You know, if God was to bless you today with $1 million, you need to think, what would you do with it? How would I handle it? You know? I'm going to ask you some questions right now. What if you had $1 million today? If God gave you $1 million, what would you do with it? Honestly.
If He gave me $1 million today, I would pay off all my debt, and I would buy a house, cash, paid for, and I would look for an investment after I got my debt paid, house paid for, everything, vehicles paid for. I would look to invest.
Who else? James, go ahead. What would you do if you had $1 million? If somebody just slaps $1 million on you today, what are you going to do?
I'm paying all my bills just fine right now, so I wouldn't go and pay off all my debt immediately. I would go buy some sort of property that would earn me money from the bank. So essentially, the bank would be paying me like an apartment building or something like that. That doesn't take a lot to up it, but at the same time, you're going to be making that return. So then once that return comes back, I'll get rid of all my debit cards and I'll live off with credit cards, because in that way my money stays in the bank and the bank trusts me with the credit that's already in there. And then all my interest just compounds as I continue to grow my money.
Okay. What are you going to do with it? $1 million, come on.
I'm going to pay off my house, my vehicles. I'm going to buy some property. I'm going to build some condos, something that I'm going to rent out that's going to have continuous income coming in every month.
You could need more than $1 million.
She's planning on that $350.
Yeah. Get your house and your car paid.
So first I'll probably buy my dad's 2 houses and then tear them down and then build duplexes where his land is, and then, well, I'd have to kick him out first, I'd try to put him up somewhere, but he's got it sitting on land in 2 rundown houses, you know what I'm saying, where there could be a good bit of duplex or something there that could be making money, and then probably buy a Cadillac and go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles and have dinner or something,
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. That's your answer.
Well, the first thing I would do is tithe.
Come on! My goodness! I was about to rebuke all of you, man. You're lucky he just bailed you out. Of course, he's probably heard the teaching about 18 times, but keep going, Pastor. What are you deliverance?
And then I would do pretty much what everybody else is saying, pay off my debt and invest it. I'd probably give something to I'd see where God would want me to give a portion of it to like probably some type of missionary missions or something, but personally, I want to invest in build storage units is what I want to invest in.
That's a good one around here, for real, storage units. So, for real, guys, I want you to see where some of our hearts are, because, and I know most of you probably tithe, but it should have been the first thing that came out of our mouth. Well, I tithe 10%. Okay, what's that leave you with now? $900,000. All right. Now you got to start. You got to start having a numbers mentality here when we're talking about money, when we're talking about investments, when we're talking about stewarding. You got to get a numbers mentality. If you got $1 million, right off the rip, I'm thinking I only got 900. Off the rip.
Yeah.
Now what am I going to do with 900? Huh?
You got to pay taxes on that 900.
Well, yeah. Well, we're gonna burn Uncle Sam on this one, okay? No, we're not. For real. There's another way that you can get in trouble with this is if you don't pay taxes, because what did Jesus say? Render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Yep. So you do got to think about that. You got to consider that. But let's just say let's just say it was a one-time gift where we didn't have to get taxed. Now I'm down to $900,000, all right? Now I got to start thinking, is it smart for me to have a mortgage where I'm paying $2,000 a month in interest and only $500 of it goes to my principal? One of the mentalities that I had was when we had bought our house, and I knew that God was going to make a way for us to pay it off because he told me that. It was real clear to me. But I started looking at my statements that came every month. My house payment was $2,500 a month, all right? I look at this statement, and I'm paying $2,000 a month in interest. I'm paying about $150 for insurances and it was insurance and property tax. About $150, $200 of it went to that. And then I looked at the principal that was actually going toward my loan, $300 and some dollars. Ridiculous, isn't it? So this is how we get sucked into a system to where we always become the borrower instead of the lender. And the Lord showed me, he said, I don't want you to be the borrower. I want you to be the lender. I'm going to give you a plan on how you can pay this thing off, but you're going to have some discipline. You're going to have to discipline your family on how to do this. You can't be spending frivolously, and you got to believe that I'm going to make it happen. So God started giving me some wisdom and some ideas of how to make it happen. So my wife and I had to come up with a budget plan on how much money we could chunk away to pay this thing off, right? And maybe make some sacrifices of, you know, not buying clothes every week, you know, maybe not getting her nails done. You know, just different little things, you know, not eating out every night. You know, you got to look at priorities, guys. What's important right now? Is it important for me to go have new clothes every week, to get my nails done, to eat out every day? Or is it more important for me to get this house paid for in the next few years and start really building wealth so that in 5 years, 10 years, if I really want to go get my nails done, or have my feet done, I'll get a pedicure. I never had one, but I'd like to try it. I can go every day if I want to. You know? Yeah, I know. I'm about to, for real. But there's sometimes you got to make sacrifices in the now for the future. Because really, what I was really looking at, to be honest with you, is I want my children to have wealth. I guess part of the reason why I was so profound and over the top about this is because my age, because of the age that I am, and, you know, having my son I'm about to meet here in the next couple weeks, you know, and being at the age that I am, I want to have something for these kids, you know. So, you know, my heart is, man, you know, by the time these kids are in their, 18 years old, I want them to be set. I want them to be set to a point to where they can increase and expand on wealth. Not to where they're spoiled and they're like, oh, I ain't never got to do nothing. My mom and dad did it for me. Not like that at all, whatsoever. Because I will not give them a penny until I see that they're taking care of things, until they're stewarding things. You know, we was giving our kids an allowance there at one point, and they weren't doing their little chores, so we snapped it from them, you know. We got to make sure that we're taking care of this to a way to where it doesn't get people, you know, in a mindset of, I can do whatever I want, I got whatever I want. It can't be like that. All right? Did you have your hand up?
I was just going to say, because I don't want it to be like this idea that, oh man, I'm going to be so deprived, I'm never going to be able to do anything that I enjoy.
Well, I pretty much got it like that, don't I?
Huh?
Pretty much set us up like that, didn't I?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, like, about 50% of what I make every week goes into savings. And so some weeks it is tight, and because I want my account to be at a certain mark, I don't get my nails done, and I'll put it off until the next week. But I just want to say that there are other weeks when everything's paid and the account's looking good, and buddy, I'm going to get my nails done. So it's kind of like a balancing act. It's not like this, you know, in order to save, it's not like you have to deprive yourself constantly and never have any enjoyment. It's just about like balancing it from week to week, so you're not like just spending it because you have it, you know. Anyway, and we are going, you know, today, if you want to go get your pedicure. Just saying, putting that out there.
Y'all do your thing. Here's what her and I had to discuss when we made this plan, was how much do you want to save and how much do you want to spend? What sacrifices are you willing to make, right, to make this happen, right? So we didn't want to completely deprive ourselves, like, you know, and live like we are in poverty by any means. But at the same time, we wanted to discipline ourselves a little bit because of what we want for the future, okay? That's the mentality you got to have, guys. You know, don't go straight poverty on us, and don't go straight over the top, man, where you're like, whoa, I got it, so I'm going to spend it. Find your balance in between somewhere. Go ahead.
You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like going over the top and overspending is another form of poverty, because you're so used to not having it, so you hurry up and spend it because you ain't used to having it too.
Yeah, that's a good point, man, because I see that so much. You know, people are like, they get a little bit of money and now it's like, you want this, you want that, you want, you know, and then it's like, then you get into spending money that you don't even have. You know? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, when we was in that mentality, you know, living from paycheck to paycheck, you know, and, you know, it was so easy, you know, to fall back into that, you know, but we don't have to live like that now.
The last thing I want you guys to do is live paycheck to paycheck. And if you are living paycheck to paycheck, come and talk to me, you know? Come and talk to me, man, and we'll figure it out. But really, I'll be honest with you guys, the way I've set this thing up as far as the pay goes, you know, and where you're at and what your living situation is, nobody in here should be living paycheck to paycheck. Right. You shouldn't. Because if you're in your first year or two and you're living in the dormitory, I can guarantee you're making enough to where you could be chunking a little bit of money away. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit, right? And if you've been around for a few years and you got your own place, your pay should be to a point where you should be banking at least $100 a week. I always look at everybody's budget and see, okay, can he bank $100 a week after he pays all of his bills and everything like that? Now, some of you got, you know, debts from the past that really kind of throw a monkey wrench into some of this, you know? So here's where you really got to seek God and pray and try to see if some of this debt can be canceled. A lot of times I feel like the Lord will supernaturally cancel debt for us just because we are committed to Him and we're serving Him, all right? And there's ways that the Lord can make that happen for us if you just believe in Him and trust Him, okay? I'm going to finish this parable. I was afraid and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and I gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own, yet with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The outer darkness, I got a whole nother theory on that, you know. And the weeping and the gnashing of teeth, I got a theory on that too. I won't get into that today, all right? However, what we want to stay focused on, guys, is this person, it almost seems unfair I mean, it's like, well, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he gave him back what was his. He just didn't do anything with it. Why was the judgment so harsh? There's a couple reasons why, okay? Fear is number one, and laziness is number two. He calls him a lazy, unprofitable servant. Unprofitable. I would not want to hear God say that to me. You lazy, unprofitable servant. So I have a tendency to probably push a little bit more and just move without having somebody to light a fire under me, even if I make a mistake, even if maybe I don't feel mature enough or ready enough. I probably move a little prematurely because I'd rather God correct me on that and reel me in on that than to be called a lazy, unprofitable servant. So, you know, how this ministry has grown to where it is, I probably did move a little quickly at times. I did, without a doubt. But I'm okay with it. God's okay with it. Him and I have talked about it, and we're all good. Okay? So, my point is, guys, is fear and laziness. Fear and laziness. The fear of, I don't want to step out and invest myself, my time, my heart. Here's a big one in ministry. This is across the board, I can guarantee it, and this is why people are quitting so much. People do not want to invest their love because they've been hurt. I've been hurt. I got hurt. The church hurt me. The ministry hurt me. So I'm not investing myself anymore. Well, I'm glad that Jesus didn't think like that when he was hanging on the cross, you know? And then they're like spitting on him and whipping him and doing all these things to him. What if he'd have said, you know what? Well, I'm not investing my time and my heart into these people anymore. That's what ministry's about, man. So you can't have that mentality where I'm not going to invest out of the abundance of my heart because I'm afraid of being hurt. Sometimes we got to learn how to endure hurt. We got to learn how to have some thick skin, but yet keep a tender heart to where, you know, the hurts, they roll off your back, but the heart remains tender toward the people and the commitment of what we're doing. Investing. That's part of investing right there. And that's part of, I believe, what he's talking about, man. You know, you wicked and lazy servant. Why did you not invest what I gave you? You know, you wicked. Here's one for somebody that's contemplating wanting to go do their own thing, right? And make their own money. Why did you not release to other people what I had done for you? You got selfish, you got lazy with it. You know, you had it in your heart that you wanted your own life back, so you didn't want to invest in others. This is a big one, man. I'm telling you, we'll stand before God on this. And I really believe where he says, you know, they're cast into outer darkness and there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. I believe that there will be a time in eternity where we will be judged as Christians as to what we did. And I believe that some of us are going to see what we could have had and what we do have, and we're going to be weeping and we're going to gnash our teeth because of it. Because God will show you, if you'd have made that proper sacrifice at that time and that proper investment at that time for the kingdom of heaven, here's where you could have been. But because you didn't, this is where you are. You don't have to agree with me on this, but I could show you scriptures where I feel like it's prominent and, you know, that'll back what I'm saying, okay? There are rewards in the kingdom. And there are different places in the kingdom. I mean, Jesus even said it when the disciples were asking him, who's going to sit at your left hand and your right? And he's like, that's not for me to give, you know, but can you drink the cup that I'm about to drink? Right? And basically he's saying, can you make the sacrifice that I'm about to make? You know, what are you willing to give for that position is what he was saying to them. Okay? So that's kind of another topic a little bit. zeroing back in on this whole concept, guys, if we're going to be fruitful, we've got to learn the principles of the kingdom and how to apply them. Okay, so if we are going to get into other nations where they've never heard the gospel, it's going to require some serious sacrifices on our part. You know, it's actually, before we can even make the sacrifice, it's going to require a certain amount of healing and maturity within our own hearts. Because to be sent into places like that, we're going to have a level of maturity where we do learn how to, you know, let stuff roll off of our shoulders, and, you know, let our hearts be healed to a point where we don't, you know, we're not so wounded where, you know, the first sign of like somebody saying something wrong about me or not accepting me or not receiving what I said, I don't buckle and fold and run home. So again, you know, what are we willing to give? How much are we really willing to heal within our own hearts to expand the kingdom? Don't shut your love down because you feel like you can't process through pain anymore, right? That's a tough one, man. I mean, you know, I deal with that all the time. I'm not investing anymore. I'm not gonna get tight with anybody anymore because I've been hurt too many times, and I can't handle going through the process of this anymore. Would you say that with your own children? Would you ever do that to your own children? Then don't do it to God's. He spoke that to me before. Would you take that approach with your own children? No, of course not, Lord. Then don't do it with mine. Don't approach my children like that. Okay. Let me go a little bit further in the book here. We've got a few minutes left, all right? So when we're talking about talents, guys, remember, talents can be defined as abilities, as resources, as properties, money, anything that you have that God's given you that can be used to increase the kingdom. I know a lot of you guys, you know, you use your own vehicles to fundraise. I appreciate that. And watch how God blesses you for that. You know, watch how you get a newer vehicle and a newer vehicle, and, you know, and a better one. The financial aspect, tithing is one thing. But giving offerings on top of that, that's how you can really be increased. Okay? So when we talked about, you know, receiving the $1 million, the first thing that we need to look at is, okay, I got 900,000. Then I got to look at how can I invest this 900,000 to make it increase and even double in the next 2 or 3 years. Here's where you've got to start praying into and seeking God for what to do with what He's given you. Don't have the mentality of, it's mine, I can do whatever I want with it. This is a poverty mentality. This is mine now, I got $1 million and I can do whatever I want to do with it. Not so. Everything that you have is His. Everything is His. What He's trying to teach us is, will you acknowledge it as His and have conversations with Him as to what is best for it and what is best to do with it? Or are we just going to be like, our appetites get so wet when we get money, when we get a little bit of money. It's like, oh my gosh, I got this, and look, I can buy this. And then you got people, when people find out you have money, and they'll find out, they'll be beating down your door with emails and text messages and phone calls. Hey, 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 look at this, look at this. They'll send you all kinds of links and everything, you know, of how you can spend your money on their product. Yeah. They'll even sucker you out of it if you're not careful. They'll prey on people with weak appetites and appetites for, you know, the flesh. There's investors that'll prey on that, you know. So here's where, again, you've got to be disciplined to a point to where it's like, okay, I don't just spend this on whatever I want. I spend this on, I seek God. Lord, what am I supposed to do? You know, what's my next move here? Where do I put this money? How do I invest it? How can I really make it work for your kingdom? Because God's looking at, are you a baby where you've got to have everything that you want? Or are you a mature son or daughter where you could say, okay, I want to invest this and watch your kingdom increase? And when you put Him first, you know what He does? He exalts you. And He says, wow, I really appreciate what you've done there, son. I really appreciate how you came to me and asked what I would have you to do with that. Because you've done that, here, I'm going to increase it, and I do want you to be blessed. Here, take that car that you wanted. You know, take that home that you wanted. He'll do that for you. But there's a heart check that'll take place first. Go ahead.
Well, I know I've heard you said multiple times about, like, you guys give away 30% of your income.
Yeah.
So does that include the 10% tithe and then the offering? And
Yeah,
then,
that's right.
So where do you guys invest the other 10%? And my other question is that when did you guys start doing that? Like immediately when you first started here, or like did you get out of some debt first and then start doing that, or did? Because I love the idea of doing that, but at the same time it's like sometimes I'm like, I really want to save that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I want to learn that line.
Fortunately, neither one of us had a lot of debt, you know. I think we pretty much gave a lot from the beginning, you know. We didn't always give maybe quite 30%, but maybe 20 or 25, you know, because we would tithe, and then, you know, we would always give extra to different things, you know. But yeah, it was pretty much from the start, I would say. Now, if you really got debt that people are pressing you for, you probably need to be responsible and pay it off, you know, without a doubt. I don't want anybody to be irresponsible and dodge your, you know, previous debts. However, you can seek God and ask Him, Lord, is there a way that I could just maybe pay this lump sum and be free from this, you know? As far as investments go, you really got to seek God prayerfully on investments, because, you know, you don't want to invest in the wrong place and in the wrong thing. There's seasons for this, and there's places that God will set you up and line you up with. If we live here in Sevier County, it's a no-brainer, guys. Invest in the property here. It keeps skyrocketing. Invest in a home. I'm telling you, if you buy a home today, you know, probably in 2 or 3 years, you're going to double your money. That's how I've watched this market go. You know, this building costs us $2 million. I guarantee you, in about 3 more years, it'll be worth $5 million. And I'm taking it. Probably. I don't know, you know. I'm not taking it for myself. What I'm thinking is, okay, we can sell it for $5 million, and then we can buy, you know, 30 or 40 acres of property and build a compound, you know, where everything is all in one spot, and we're not like Kodak, Vandridge, you know, Sevierville, all over the place. But, you know, like I said, it's a no-brainer here, man. I mean, property is like, you guys see it yourselves, you know, it's through the roof. And I don't see it dropping anytime real soon. It's still gonna go up for a while. It will. Maybe in 10 years it might drop, but if you're looking for an investment around here, that's the route I would go. Amen. Okay, we need to end, so go ahead and take 5. Looks like Pastor Kimry's almost ready.